Hey folks, welcome back to another edition of World Paranormal Research Society here with Timothy and Alexandria, and we have Kenny Biddle with us, and he works for the Center for Inquiry. And man, it is great to have you on the show today, Kenneth. How you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you guys?
Oh,
We're really excited to have someone of your caliber on the show because we've talked about this for a very long time, and I think a lot of people need to hear this stuff, and I think it's very important.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to try and answer any questions you got and see if we can help put some good information out there.
okay, and I've watched your videos on the SLS Kinect, and that's why we actually wanted to have you on the show, so our listener base can actually hear you talk about it. But I'm going to link all your videos on the Kinect in the description of this show so people can go back also and listen to those. But that's kind of where we want to focus right now, is the problems with so-called professional ghost hunters, in quotation marks, using SLS Kinect cameras, capturing what they're saying is evidence and presenting it to news outlets that are actually believing it. And if you could, and I know it was funny, I was watching you do some of the settings and manipulate the SLS in one of your videos, and it was actually funny watching that. And could you explain a little bit the problems with the SLS Kinect?
So, yeah, I can do that. The Kinect is first and foremost a part of a game console. We have to remember that. It's kind of replacing the controller so that it makes you, the person, the controller instead of the handheld device that we usually use. And it was programmed so that you can play games like a dance party and stuff like that, where you're actually, there's an avatar that's created on screen based on your movements in your body. And the Kinect looks at it. It uses infrared light, and it looks at it. And it depends how it uses that light. It depends on the version. So the first version used a speckle pattern. It put out like thousands and thousands and thousands of dots, infrared dots out there. And there was another camera that read those dots. And that's how it calculated distance from the camera, and if there was an edge or a curve on an object, that's how it saw the environment. It's a pretty cool system. It's pretty sophisticated, yet it does have its drawbacks. It can make mistakes because it has to make guesses. And that's something that we really want to point out, that it has to make guesses. Because if you can imagine, if you're dancing, you're not always going to face front. You're not always looking directly at the camera. So both your arms, both your legs are not looking at the camera, and the camera can't see them. So when you turn around or you spin or you just turn sideways, now you have an arm and a leg that's missing, and the software has to make a guess. It has to make an estimate where that might be, and that's where we get into problems. The second version of the Kinect uses infrared light, but it also uses a solid. It has ambient light that it uses. It also has a projector, and it doesn't use a speckle pattern, but it's a much more sophisticated system. But as we can talk about later, you can also use it as almost like a chroma key editing, because you can actually you can turn the settings up so everything's bright white except for the stick people that are on people. And with that, you can chroma key out the white and use that as a layer in a video, and you can make really convincing ghostly videos. I know there's a YouTube channel out there that does it constantly, and I know exactly how he did it. That's what one of the videos is based on. But that's a primer. I mean, we can get into more details as we go along, but that's pretty much the idea behind it.
Well, that's kind of what we were looking at, and here's the thing. I know that in one of your videos you showed how the settings can be adjusted and manipulated in some of the software there, and my thing was that people can actually, because it is built for a gaming system and it is compatible with different types of programs, people can actually input fake imaging into this thing. Like you were saying, they can do this thing and make it look very convincing as ghost photography or
Right.
video or whatever, you know.
So one of the things that we can do with editing, because I do a lot of video editing as well, you can do something called overlay. It's a very basic editing tactic or technique, and you basically, if you have a camera set up on a tripod and you're filming an area, you can film different scenes. As long as you don't move that camera, you can layer each clip on top of each other. You can break up that video into different clips and lay them on top of each other and have them look almost like like I've done it where there's multiple versions of me doing different jobs in different areas of the scene, and it's pretty cool. It's actually a fun little technique. However, like when you watch movies that do blue screen or green screen, you can go into your editing software, and chroma key out different colors. So if I'm filming, say a scene, and I want to just, let's see, how do I want to explain this? Well, first with the Kinect, basically what you do is you ramp up the sensitivity of the sensor so that when it's looking at infrared light, you can either dial it all the way down so that it just sees a black screen, or you can dial it all the way up so that you're washed out and it just sees a white screen. So when I say this, I mean that when you're looking at the environment with the Kinect's camera, you'll see an infrared 3D interpretation of the environment. And when you dial it up and down, the sensitivity, you can change that and just go totally dark, or you can go totally washed out. And I found that when you dial it up so that the infrared sensor is really sensitive, the whole screen is white, but it's still picking up people. So when it does that, it'll put a stick figure on someone, but you're not going to see anything else. You're not going to see the person. You're not going to see the furniture in the room. You're not going to see anything because it's all bleached out. It's all white. And if you load that into your software, you can actually take out white. You can take out the color white. And basically you're left with a clear, I'm trying to keep it simple. You're left with a clear layer that has nothing on it except stick figures. So you can take that and put it on top of another clip of the same scene that's shot in full color, regular visible light, and it'll look like there are stick figures just roaming around by themselves. It's a really cool effect. And if you have some imagination and you plan it out good, like I did some videos where I was knocking over stuff with the stick figures and just dancing around or making sure I walked around me or patted my own head so that later on, it was fun. I mean, you planned it out, and I remember, you have to plan out where you're going to walk, what you're going to do, where you're going to sit, and then once you do that, you can line it up. And then once you get it into the editing software, it's really easy to line everything up.
Well, here's one of
fun.
Here's one of the tactics that one of the teams uses that really has sent us a lot of stuff that really kind of threw us off for a little bit, is they film live. And what I do notice is that this stuff has software which you can have preset images pop in at certain times during your live filming. However, conveniently enough, during their live filming, they always have internet issues where the live has to go off. And then it popped back up, and they got this amazing stuff. I don't want to name no names of people out there, but because that's not my goal. My goal is to expose the equipment and to stop people from presenting fake evidence. But there is a video, and I wish we would have sent you the picture of it. There's some kind of monk thing, and it's 3 different images there. And like you said, you know how stuff's washed out and all white or all black, and how you can overlay stuff. Well,
right.
This is actually in there in the photo that they've sent, and it to me it's so cartoony that it obviously had to come from and we fell for it though. This is one of the images that got us like, oh man, this is awesome. And then the more we looked into it, the more we realized, no, this was totally set up. And so it's advanced way more past stick figures now, where they got other things that they're doing with it. Like you said, by manipulating the light in the background and all that,
Yeah, I mean, you can really do anything you want. The using the Kinect is just it's the known ghost hunting tool. Like ghost hunters love using it because it's been seen on TV, and a lot of paracelebs love using it and showing it off. So it's easy to just capture video from the Kinect itself. You know, just take video, record the video, and then you can break it up and do whatever you want with it. But you're not restricted to just using video from the Kinect. I can pull off videos that I do just here in my office. I can do it from home. I can do it with any video camera. And as long as I have a green screen or blue screen, I can create an overlaid image or overlaying video that when I have quote unquote technical problems with my live, then I can use my software and just throw in an overlay. And you can use overlays in streaming software too. That's something I don't think people realize. Like I stream every Friday night, and I can put overlays with images or video in it, and it'll look good. I can put it out there and do that the same way I can do with the Kinect video. So if I say, you know, if we're doing a live video and we're at a haunted house, and I'm like, oh, well, we're having technical problems, we'll be right back. Then I can sit at my laptop and fix it so that the overlay is ready to go. And as soon as we go back live, pop it in there and just get it to start. And as long as you start your overlaid video with some kind of creature or ghost that's off screen and then it comes in the screen, it looks natural. It looks like it's part of the live.
Yeah, now going on what you just said there, Kenneth. Now let's say that they just started the video and it's live and they already had that. So let's say that they don't have technical problems. It seems like from what you were saying, they could still preset that to pop in, even if they had just went live. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. I mean, all you need is sit there with your laptop and you're good to go. Because you can have a live video going, but you can also stream your camera phone through your laptop. So it looks like you're going through, and you can edit on the fly. I mean, there's so many little tricks that you can do. And I mean, one of the things that I would suggest that, like with this team or group, whoever's doing this, have an outsider come in. Have an outsider, especially someone that is like me. You know, someone like me that's going to look for this stuff, that knows how to do these tricks. Let me come along.
Yeah.
You know,
I agree.
And see if it happens while I'm there.
And I think that's part of the problem too, that when you send images to publications that are not savvy technical wise, they see the image or they're sent a clip, and like you just said, they don't know what to look for, what to watch for, and they figure, man, this is the first time ever this has been caught on video.
Well, I'm just going to say it right off the bat, man. There's a team that's breaking paranormal research records, according to newspapers out there, using the SLS camera. And I'm not going to name their name, but because I actually still talk to one of them. And I told him I was going to have you on the show, and he said, "Oh yeah, that's great," you know. But in the reality is, I think they really don't like the fact that we're going to expose this. But it needs to be exposed, man. If it's fake evidence and you're knowingly putting in fake evidence, then come on, stop with that. And I've asked them to stop doing this for months now, and they haven't done it. They continue to use the SLS Kinect. And the problem is, like you just said, and I want people to pay attention to, if somebody's going live, they could already have a preset overlay to pop in so it looks like a real monster, ghost, demon, whatever, pop in, and it looks like it happened live, because that's their whole thing. Then they send this to the newspapers, who's actually, they have no experience on this, and they're publishing this as world record breakers. You know, it's the first time this has happened, you know?
I love how they're using the term world record breakers. It's like, this is not groundbreaking research by any means. And it's sensationalism. And part of the problem is the media. Because the media, as you mentioned, most of the time they don't have any expertise in this. They don't bother to get it verified. They don't bother to have it analyzed by a professional. Most of the time, it's a sensational piece, especially when you're talking. And I'm not trying to be mean to anyone that does the hobby of ghost hunting, but when it comes to little articles in newspapers about ghost hunting, they are fluff pieces. They are not something that's seriously or serious journalism. They are fluff pieces. They puff up the newspaper. It gives it something spooky and easy for people to read, especially when it's posted online, because people love this kind of stuff. So it's easy clicks. So this is not serious journalism. This is not serious investigation. It is, hey, this group says that they got a picture of a ghost. Let's just put it out there and interview them. For the most part, you won't hear the other side. You won't hear anyone arguing against what it might be. And that's a big problem with the media, because they don't bother to look into it. They want to just get that quick article out there as fast as they can and as many clicks as possible. So you're not going to have anyone checking up on it. There's no fact checking done.
Yeah, and it's like you just said, it's a form of clickbait, and
Yes.
it's just a lot of these locations are hundreds and hundreds of years old, and I really don't think that they should have to stoop to that level just to get into the newspaper or become celebrities in their hometown.
Well, you would hope that they don't, but when it comes to ghost hunting groups, in my experience, there's usually at least one person who's running the group that wants to be popular. They want to be famous. They want to be well known. They want to be looked at as an authority figure. And instead of doing the work to warrant that, it's easy just to get a sensational piece and say, hey, look, we got this photo or video. We don't know what it is. Because honestly, they don't, unless they're making it. Unless they're making it, then it's a different story. But it's easy for them to send a picture or video clip to a news agency and just say, hey, look, we got this here, at this historic place.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's easy. It's an easy piece to write or post for a newspaper outlet or a media outlet.
Yeah, and they've definitely been doing that. And they basically, just to give you a background, they basically just started in paranormal research, and they've groundbreaking research, man. And you know what? People can get lucky, I get it, but come on, you're breaking every so-called thing. You're the only ones that can do this in the history of paranormal research. And I don't know, man. I'm very disappointed in people using tools that are not good tools and can be easily manipulated, and the amount of people that actually they want to believe in this stuff, and so that when they see something like this, they take it for the first value. They take it to be real because they want to believe it's real, and they don't want to believe somebody's actually manipulating the software. Because one of the things they like to do is that live thing. We're going live, and then bam, here comes that preset overlay, like what you're saying. Now, being that there is a lot of problems with the SLS Kinect camera, as we've been saying ever since we ourselves got tricked by this, what tools do you think, in your experience, would be tools that are good for ghost hunting that, maybe the evidence wouldn't be so much in question,
So it's kind of hard to give you recommendations. I mean, I can give you a few, but it's difficult because for the most part, all of the gadgets that are being used right now are not really worth it, or at least the method to which they are being used. It's not worth it. It's a waste of time because there's no data to collect. When you have a REM pod, I mean, how many people know exactly what's going on? How does it work? What's it measuring? Is it measuring anything? Like, these are questions we need to know. So if you're going to use something like an EMF meter, which measures the strength of a field, not the frequency. So many people get that wrong. They think they're measuring what frequency is being used, and that's not correct. If you're going to use something like that, you need to have it hooked into a data logger. Data loggers are your best friend, because if you can get several readings per second, several samples per second, and continue through the several hours that's going on, you have a lot of data to actually look through. You have thousands and thousands of data points to compare. And that's true with anything, with temperature, with humidity, with atmospheric pressure. If you're going to measure these things, you need data loggers connected to them. Good ones that will record as many data points per second as possible, and then have someone look at the data that can interpret the data, see if there's any anomalies. And that's the hard part too, because so many people do what they call base readings. And to be honest, they are not doing base readings, not at all. When you go into a place, a location, or a building, and you walk around for a few minutes, maybe 10 minutes, maybe 15, 20 at the max, you're not getting a full reading, a full understanding of what kind of environmental conditions will affect that place. To be honest, at minimum, you need a 1-year study.
Oh,
you need to go through all the seasons. You need to go through everything. Yeah, because what if like you go there in the wintertime. Say you go to a location in the wintertime. Now you have the heater kicking on.
Yeah.
You have different appliances, it's different temperature readings there. And somebody opens a window or a door. You're going to have a temperature difference, a quick one, going through. And then what if you go back or even you do it during the day, and then you go back at night? There's going to be different conditions.
Yeah,
There's going to be differences in spikes and dips. And again, if you went in like summertime or springtime, it's going to be different. So you need to know what is going on, how the environment acts on a normal basis. And the only way to do that is constantly or continually record and get an idea of what it's like through all the seasons, through all the different times of day. Because, I mean, think about this. If you're home, your own home, if you go to work and your wife or husband or partner goes to work during the day, you both work during the day, there's more activity at night than during the day. Like with electrical appliances, with heating, with cooling, everything's different. So you have a completely different environment, day and night, literally. So these are all factors that have to be taken into account. So I would say the first thing is that if you're going to use any kind of environmental sensors, get data loggers for all of them. If you're not, if you're just sitting there in the dark, hoping that a ghost will light up an LED light to answer your question, you are not doing science.
Hey, because anything I've seen people do this. They'd put them at tombstones, and there's many variables that can cause that light to come on.
Right.
And so yeah, I completely get what you're saying.
We didn't even get into controls, environmental controls or experimental controls. We didn't even get into that, because the example that you gave, like putting a EMF meter on a tombstone, anything can affect that. You can have, if you're carrying devices, your phone, but more importantly, radio frequencies. If someone's using a two-way radio anywhere nearby, it'll make it go off. So you actually need to put it in a Faraday box. And I recommend everyone get one of those too, a Faraday box, a good one. Not something you get off Amazon, because those bags don't work. I tried them. They suck, honestly. I built one. I built mine is like a 2-foot by 1-foot box. And as soon as you close the lid, it blocks out all AM and FM frequencies. And it's beautiful. And I take it when I can, because it is big. When I can take it with me, and people have like their EMF meters or their ghost boxes with the radios that sweep through the channels, it's, hey, put it in here, because this blocks your radio frequencies. And if we get a voice from your ghost or spirit box when it's in my Faraday box, then I'll be impressed.
Let me ask you this question.
Out all the,
have you done a video on that at all?
That I have not done, no.
I'd be curious to watch that one, actually, because I know we use, like, on TV, they use the SB7, we use the SB11, and so you're bringing up a good point there about putting it inside a box, like you said, to block out all frequencies, but the theory that they're going on, Gary Galka and all them that got famous with this stuff, is that if you get like a sentence or a word that's over so long over a certain amount of sweeps, then obviously you got some type of supernatural communication there.
See, that's pure speculation.
Yeah.
That's nothing has been proven. That is wishful thinking, and because it fits. It's easier to fit that into what you believe rather than the rigors of scientific testing. So, I mean, for me, these radios are doing exactly what they're supposed to do, exactly what they're designed to do. They are receiving broadcasts. We are broadcasting those. People are broadcasting music and commercials and news radio and all kinds of stuff over the airwaves. And your SB7 is picking those up and playing them through the speaker. Yes, you can sweep through them, but you're still picking up bits of these stations. They're still coming through. So in order to control for that, in order to show me that it's doing something other than it's designed to do, then you need to block out those radio frequencies.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this. If you blocked out the radio frequencies, would you, in fact, how to say, will you think a spirit would still be able to communicate by blocking out the radio frequencies? Because it sweeps on FM and AM. That's the whole thing it
Right.
sweeps on. So if you can't sweep through FM and AM, then do you think that you could still get any type of spiritual communication through there?
I have no idea because I don't know that a spirit communicates through FM or AM frequency.
Okay.
I mean, that's the thing. Nobody knows. This is an assumption. And I mean, you can think about it like this. These ideas pop up for ease of use because people used to do EVP sessions with just a tape recorder.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, go back further, reel to reel. So it went reel to reel to cassettes, to microcassettes, to digital recorders. And this is all different media than taking in an FM or AM frequency. So it was easy. It was easy to get sounds when you're holding a recorder or when you put it down on table. You can get some squeaky sounds or environmental sounds. And then the idea came, oh, let's scan through radio frequencies where we're already getting voices because we have DJs and commercials and announcers and all this. We're already getting voices, so let's use this. I mean, that, honestly, to me, that's the laziest thing that's come out of ghost hunting in a long, long time.
Well, how did you feel about the cassette? The people like the Warrens that was using the cassettes.
Well, to be honest, I mean, full disclaimer, I don't think the Warrens were any good investigators, and that's my opinion. I want to make that clear. That's my opinion, based on what they did and how they did it. I don't give them any credibility whatsoever. But the cassette tapes, I mean, I wasn't there. I don't know what went on. I don't know if they were manipulated or not. I don't know if they made the voices. I don't know if somebody else talked and it was just presented as nobody talked or nobody was speaking, but yet we have these voices. There's so many questions. The investigative methods that they used were not valid. And therefore, to me, the data that they present is not valid. So that's as far as I don't know if you want me to go further with that.
Right now I'm just picturing the comments we're gonna get, but the thing is, because you know this, we know that you're we know that you're known as a skeptic, and that's fine, and that works great for us because I think that somebody told me like iron sharpens iron, right? I just had this conversation yesterday. It kind of balances out really, and it's beneficial for the paranormal community to actually have conversations with people that are very skeptical on a lot of things, because we can learn from these skeptics and help improve the things that we do. Like one of the grounds that we have agreement on, I think, is the SLS Kinect. I understand, like, I agree with you on that 100%. The Warrens, right. Because, Alexandria, right before Lorraine died, she sent Alexandria a Christmas present. So it was kind of like we knew them. Now I understand where you're saying that, and we've even brought up the question before. Like they claim to have all this evidence. Where is it? You know what I mean? Where
Right.
is it? We haven't seen
Right.
all this evidence that Hollywood's saying the Warrens collected.
Well, I mean, it's true. It really is true. And part of it, like when we talk about Hollywood, it's Hollywood's fault too. They sensationalize the crap out of things. You know, the Conjuring movie was a gross misinterpretation. I mean, that wasn't creative licensing. That was they built the entire creative warehouse and used it on that film because there was so much that was not true in that film. I mean, when you say based on a true story, all
Yeah.
that means is you use the person's name. That's all that has to mean.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to actually be an actual account because if we don't have the actual accounts and the historical records show that all the history presented in that film, presented by the Warrens, presented by the people that were in the Conjuring house, is wrong. It's just completely wrong, and that's a sore spot with me because that tarnished the reputation of somebody that had died years and years ago that can no longer defend themselves.
I give you. Hold on one second. We interviewed Andrea Perron, who actually grew up in the house, and she actually said 90% of the film was actually fake. It did not present the story as the story actually happened to her family. And then one of the so-called people, this high-profile celebrity, came on and he listened to the show, and then he went out there and said, yeah, 90% of the film was true. That's a lie. And so we already know that. So we agree on that. What were you going to say, Alexander?
Yeah, I'm going to use what you've just discussed. I'm going to use this analogy and ask your opinion on it. That, when we were growing up, a lot of boys or a lot of kids, the in thing at that time was to get a doctor kit or something for Christmas or your birthday with a stethoscope. Do you think that a lot of these TV shows or movies have sort of drawn people, like the doctor kit analogy, that hey, I'm going to go get these cheap whatever they sell ghost hunting kits, and I'm going to be a ghost hunter now, just like this TV show, and it just spurned a whole cult following?
I think so. I think so. When you first had when Ghost Hunters came out, and I don't want to rag on them too much because Jason Hollis is a good friend of mine. But we still go back and forth. We still disagree on a lot of things, but we also agree on a lot of stuff. But when Ghost Hunters came out, it really sparked a pop culture, I don't know what you would say, like spike, because people started realizing, hey, we can all do this. We can all do this. You don't need a license. You don't need a certificate. You don't need any real knowledge on it. You can just grab a couple devices and go out there and hunt ghosts at night. And it seemed like a cool thing to do. And it really sparked this little movement, this pop culture movement to go out there and do that. So yeah, I think it really is good. I mean, when you talk about growing up with toys, like the doctor's kit, I have one actually. I have a Fisher Price.
Oh, that's cool.
It came with a story. It's allegedly haunted, but it has
Oh,
not ended
man.
for me.
Yeah. There you go.
But yeah, I mean that's a good analogy because yeah, it did inspire people. The movies not so much because we've always had horror movies. I mean, The Exorcist came out in the 70s, and it really didn't spark too many ghost hunting groups. But when you had reality shows start popping up on TV, then it really inspired people and showed them, hey, we can all do this. We don't need any special training, which is sad because actually you do. You really do need special training in order to interpret the results of the data that's collected, if it's collected at all. So yeah, that was pretty good, and then it just kept going. I mean, now we have so many paranormal shows, and they are seriously just cookie cutter shows of each other, and sadly there's really not good information. Some of them even get the history wrong. I won't mention a certain one, but they like to go on adventures. But they often get the history wrong.
Yeah, yeah.
And when you research it, it's like, wait, this didn't happen, or this never happened there, or that place wasn't associated with this. And it's sad. It really is sad because it seriously is dumbing down the viewers. It's making them dumber, and I'm not trying to be mean, but it's making them dumber and teaching them the wrong way to research.
Yeah.
Because they're presenting it, and you're expected to take it at face value.
Well, yeah, and I mean, you bring up a lot of good points, man. You really do. But I think the reason why The Exorcist didn't spark a lot of ghost hunters at the time, that movie scared the hell out of a lot of people.
So, I didn't watch it until much later in life. Like I probably saw it all the way through for the first time maybe about 10 years ago, and I thought it was funny. I laughed through. I mean, I do that with most horror movies because I'm not. They don't scare me. Usually, I find them to be predictable. So, like, all right, here it comes. Here comes the jump scare. Here comes this. The pea soup scene I thought was hilarious. I laughed really hard at that. But yeah, I mean, at the time, you're right though. When that came out, that caused a big sensation. I mean, that was the first time horror went that way or that far, and it really caused an uproar, which made it a pop culture icon.
Hey, here's something for you, Kenneth. I don't know if you ever watched William Blatty's interview with David Letterman that he did, but he actually had, during that process of The Exorcist, he started ghost hunting himself, and he, in the studio live, he actually set up a mic and he had everybody be silent for 30 seconds, and they was capturing voices right there in the studio. And he had became, a lot of people don't know this, but he had became obsessed with miking up different places. He had microphones in his home, and of spirit talk and everything. He was obsessed with it. But if you go to David Letterman's YouTube channel, man, his interview's on there, and it's pretty interesting.
That'd be interesting to see and to hear. I mean, I wouldn't put too much stock in it. I wouldn't come away thinking. Well, I wouldn't go into it thinking, oh, he's got voices, especially because it's in studio. We don't know what was done. We don't know what was going on in the background, because that microphone doesn't come from him and go directly to your TV set. I mean, it goes through the control console, and who knows what's working or who's working it, and what's being filtered in there. So, I mean, it'd be interesting to look through it and to have a listen and see if there's anything that stands out, but which I might do. I'm writing it down now in my notebook.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I just seen it the other day, and then that's how I learned that it was actually during the filming of The Exorcist that he became obsessed with this. And he's done other movies that are similar to The Exorcist that nobody's ever heard of. I think one of them's The Ninth Configuration or something with Stacy Keach. I haven't even seen that one myself, but I want to because he really got into it. But I kind of want to shift back real quick, if you don't mind. I want to reiterate the purpose of why we even wanted you to really speak to the audience here today is because, we're trying to discourage people from using the SLS Kinect camera. I want to go over some of your points that you made, that even if people are saying that they're filming live, they can do an overset, have that come in at a preset time, and then bam, live, you have your ghost or your monster or your demon pop in live, live. And then if they maybe taking too long during filming live, some intro, they can have technical issues, go back and reset everything, and then have your pop-ins come in, as you were saying with the overlays, right?
Yeah, and I mean, the basic lesson here is understand that you're not there. As a viewer, you are not there. You don't see what's going on behind the camera. And they are showing you only what they want you to see. Because I can set up stuff, I can set up videos to have ready to go. I mean, I could film a video and then say I'm doing it live and play a video, and you wouldn't even know because I don't have to interact with the comments. Or I can just do general things like, oh, hey, I see so-and-so's here. Oh, that's cool. And no one's going to scroll through all the comments to see if, like, a guy named Jim is actually there. I could do that. I could do that during a video and say, hey, Jim, what's up, man? Good to see you. Hey, Tiffany, what's up? How you doing? You know, it's great to see how we're doing this live, and it's not really live. I mean, my streaming software allows me to do that. I can put up a video and have it go out live, and you wouldn't know that I'm not interacting with anybody.
Wow.
You know, that
I didn't even know you could do that. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is, I mean, the basic lesson is you don't know what's going on behind the camera, so question it.
Oh, exactly. So you're saying it might not even be live, but they may be making it appear to be live.
Yeah, they could have filmed it. They could have filmed it, inserted what they wanted. I mean, because that's what I do with a lot of my TikTok videos. I film it, put it in my software, and I edit things the way I want it, and then I put it back on my phone, and then I upload it. So if I did that, within 10 minutes, I could have a video and then post it as live, like 10 minutes later. You know, like you wouldn't even know. They could film it that night and just decide, all right, you know what? Let's post it and we'll go live right now.
Wow.
So there's a lot of behind the scenes. It's all TV magic, man. I mean, and again, this is assumptions. I'm speculating here because I don't know for sure. I haven't seen the videos. Yeah. I don't know the team. I don't know the people involved.
You're just speaking in general. You're not speaking about anybody in specific. Right. Yeah, we'll acknowledge that for sure. Like we know that you're just speaking in general, and that's kind of what we want. We want people to in general know that a lot of this evidence, and I wish you could pull up that one picture and just tell me how you think it was made, because Alexandria could probably send it to you, but because it would be great just to see what your initial impression is. And we don't have to mention who sent it to us, but it's on the one of those videos. I can't remember how far back it was, you know. But
yeah, I mean, if you can send me a picture while we're talking.
Yeah,
I can pull it up via Facebook and just put it up.
Yeah, she's gonna send it to you.
Okay.
While we're actually talking, because I'm really while she's doing that real quick, because you brought up horror movies, right? I grew up a horror movie fanatic, man, and one of my favorite all time Friday the 13th films was Friday the 13th Part 6. And
oh my goodness.
Have you seen that one?
I have to check because I mean I think I've seen them all.
Yeah.
But like they all blend together.
No, man, Part 6 was different because he had like the Rambo knife in that one. He had a utility belt. They had a comedy in it. It was pretty interesting. I've interviewed a lot of people from that film, man. You know how they say, like, if you grow up watching somebody or being a fan of somebody, you never really want to meet them in real life.
Right.
I kind of think that's true. You know, it's better to have the perceptions. I think it's for some things anyway. You know.
Well, yeah. I mean, because you get this idea, and I've gone through it because I'm not only do I do this, but I'm also a big comic book nerd, and like I go to Comic Cons, and you know, there's people that I've watched for years, and that you look up to, you kind of idolize, and then you meet them and realize like sometimes they're an a-hole. You know, and you're like, oh, this sucks. You know, I'd rather have that made up persona that I thought. You know, like I thought they were this kind of personality and all nice and everything, but now I find out that they're not. So it kind of sucks.
Okay, she just sent you. Yeah, I agree, man. I met Gunnar Hansen, and what a disappointment, man. He was the Leatherface. But yeah.
Yeah.
And for the people listening, I want to kind of talk about your organization for a minute, Center for Inquiry. Can you tell us a little bit about what do you do there? Because I discovered you on YouTube specifically looking for SLS Kinect stuff. But what does your organization do? And
we're an organization for science and reason. So we put out Skeptical Inquirer magazine. That's a magazine about different science topics. We tackle things like homeopathy, political issues, but we also take in paranormal topics. The organization actually got started by tackling a lot of paranormal topics like psychics and mediums and tarot readings and astrology and stuff like that. And we also have another part that does Free Inquiry, which is another magazine that deals with different religions and freedom of religion and freedom from religion. But my part is that I'm the chief investigator here for paranormal claims. So anything that comes in that's weird, we're talking ghosts, monsters, UFOs, aliens, abductions, religious mysteries, like crying statues, weeping statues, anything like that that comes in, I'll take a look at and see what I can find on it.
Okay.
And I publish in Skeptical Inquirer magazine, both the print magazine and online. I also produce videos, like that you saw with the Kinect. I take different paranormal equipment, I take it apart, I show you exactly what's inside and how it's supposed to work, as opposed to how it's promoted to work. And then I also take you along on, like when I get to go on ghost hunts, people let me tag along once in a while, and I'll show you what it's like from a skeptical point of view and what things I pick out. So, and I do lectures. I just got to, I'm in Buffalo, New York, and I just got back from Seattle, Washington, and Portland, Oregon. I did a lecture tour out there and talked about my strategies for solving mysteries and how to do it. I gave examples of all the mysteries that I've solved and how I solved them and what tips and tricks I used. So that's me in a nutshell.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, you know, so if the listeners have anything weird or mysterious that they would like for you to try to debunk, should we give them an email, or how could they get in touch with you?
Yeah, they can email me at kbiddle, Biddle, at centerforinquiry.org.
Oh, that's awesome.
And you can find me on if you go to skepticalinquirer.org and just type in my name, Kenny Biddle, all my articles and videos will come up. You can see everything that I've done.
With that being said, do you have a personal opinion about Loch Ness Monster, Bigfoot? I had to throw that in, I'm sorry.
I believe in Bigfoot, by the way. I do.
Well, you were in Washington. There's sightings in Washington
Yeah.
State, up north in Canada, BC. Do you have an opinion, or have you seen any evidence to disprove Loch Ness Monster or Bigfoot?
So when it comes to Loch Ness, I don't think there's anything to it. I think there's a lot of natural explanations, from standing waves to the regular wildlife that's in there. And it's been shown over and over again. The last big test that was done in Loch Ness, they took samples, of DNA samples to test what was in the lake. So a lot of the leftover bio matter that's in there, they were able to figure out a pretty good consensus of what was in the lake, and everything was known. There was nothing unknown. So that tells me something that it's probably not there. I don't think there's a food supply for something that large in that lake, so that's a problem. And every picture has been blurry, just like Bigfoot.
Yeah.
Bigfoot's either naturally blurry,
Yeah.
but for Bigfoot, there's a problem with breeding population. That's my biggest problem with that. There's for a creature that large, you're talking about there'd have to be about 5,000 at least, I think, for a breeding population that does not crossbreed or breed inside like relatives, incest. So to keep the genetic code fresh, you need at least 5,000 to start, and it needs to be bigger from there. And the hunting ground, the hunting area for such a creature, habitat, it cannot hide. It wouldn't be able to hide. So I doubt very much that a creature that we know as Bigfoot exists and is out there. However, I am still open to it. I've gone on dozens of Bigfoot hunts out in the woods where, honestly, I'm more worried about the Bigfoot hunters leaving me out in the woods
Man.
than actually meeting Bigfoot. I mean, I try not to be a party pooper, and I want to make that clear to everyone that's listening. Like, I know I said some things that might have upset some people, but I'm not trying to be mean. I'm not trying to poo-poo over the whole thing. My goal here is to understand the truth, find the truth, and help improve the quality of everyone's work. So stuff that I've done, like with the Kinect, that's not to trash ghost hunters. That's basically put out there to say, hey, this tool doesn't work. We can do better, and we should do better. And you mentioned it, Tim, that like these are conversations that we should have between us. We should be working together rather than separately and at each other.
Yeah.
You know, we should be working together in order to improve the quality, to look at it. You know, because if you want to be that person that presents untested or uncontested evidence of a ghost or an afterlife, then you want it to be good. I mean, am I right? You want it to be good.
Yeah, you do. Exactly.
So someone like me is going to come out and look at the flaws and say, "How? You know what? We need to look at this. We need to look at that. That doesn't work because there's a flaw in that logic or a flaw in that reasoning or method. We can do better. If we change this, we can do better." So that's my job, to help improve everyone's quality of work.
Yeah, man, and it's awesome. And like I say, it's great having you on the show, man, because I believe we should be open up to working together and have more interactions with people that are skeptical of the research that is presented in the paranormal community, because you're going to have that critical eye where you're going to challenge stuff, and that's really good, you know. But people that are intentionally manipulating systems, like with the SLS Kinect, I mean, I watched your videos. I know that the settings can be done where you can manipulate certain things. And when you're using a tool like that and people are knowingly misrepresent, that's what gets me. It's different if you go out there and you capture something and you think, okay, this is a ghost, and then you present it. But it's different than if you intentionally manipulate a picture or a video and then you fraudulently presenting that as real evidence when it's fake. That's what I don't like right there.
You nailed it. You nailed it right there. When you know that you're deceiving the public, you're a piece of crap to me. You know, like, because you're trying to get ahead, you're trying to get the spotlight, and you're trying to get ahead by lying to people.
Exactly.
And it just sucks. It makes everyone look bad.
Hey, man, you know what? And it's experience too, because when I first started this years ago, I had no idea how water particles interacted with a night vision camera, right? Infrared. And so, man, I thought I was capturing ghosts like crazy. You know what I mean? And so, but I had to learn, hey, this ain't what this was, you know, and it takes time, experience, and you get more and more knowledge so that, you know, and you grow, and we have to grow. And the way we grow is by having these types of conversations like what we're having with you, you know?
Yeah, exactly. You should not stop learning. I mean, that's my motto. Never stop learning. Because when you get to a point where you think, oh, I know enough, I can guarantee you don't. And you need to keep going. You need to learn more. You need to keep refining the information that you have. You need to keep adding on to it. So never stop learning.
Exactly. Hey, go ahead, Alan.
And I think the common goal that everybody should strive towards is very simple: the truth.
Yes, exactly. I don't go into a place intent on debunking everything. That's not my intention, even though most people would think it is. That's not. I'm going in there trying to find the truth. And if I come out and the truth is, holy crap, there's a ghost in here, I think that's awesome. I think that's great. Like, that's what I'm looking for. Yeah. I want that. Same with Bigfoot. That'd be great to find a Bigfoot. But all the data and all the information so far isn't looking good. So I'm going to have questions. I'm going to point out things, you know. But again, I'm looking for the truth, not to prove one way or the other. Looking for the truth.
But real quick, before we end the interview here, what is your favorite comic book? Because I'm a comic book collector too. What's your favorite series?
Oh, wow. Wow. I actually, you got me good.
There's so many, right?
I'm thinking, I like, what was it? Oh, crap. It's been a while since I actually read a comic book. Spider-Man was always my favorite.
Yeah, mine too. Yep.
I love Spider-Man, but in the recent years, when I do go and grab them, I'm always grabbing the independent newcomers. You know, when they have like one or two, or you know, like maybe a 4-part series, and it's brand new, they've never published, and a lot of them are self-published. So I collect those now because, I mean, one, it's interesting and a fresh take on a lot of stories, and two, just in case they do make it big, I got their first issues.
Oh, hey, that's smart thinking, man. That's smart thinking.
Yeah.
And I was so disappointed, man, when the way that they've done. I watched them all the Spider-Man movies, but you know, I don't know. They deviated a little ways from the comics there. I like the '80s comics Spider-Man, and that's just me, man. You know.
It's all good. Yeah, I mean, everybody has their own favorites, and it's all cool. I love having nerd debates too, because
Yeah.
we could sit here and talk about Spider-Man and Marvel, DC, and all those comics.
We're getting off track. We're getting off track.
But you know what? Just to make a comment too, and I think what our listeners and even what I'm gleaming from this very open conversation is that technology is just like a coin. There's two sides to the coin. It can be good and it can be bad, and it's all in your intent on how you want to use technology. And I think a lot of people have to understand, that you gotta just don't run out and buy this equipment, not know how to use it. That really knowledge is power, that you've got to learn about the technology because it can be used for bad, it can be used for good.
Yeah, that's pretty good, yeah.
Well, Kenneth, we would like to thank you for joining the show today, and you've been a great guest, man. And I'll interact. Oh. If I get something crazy sent to us again, I'll send it to you, man. Trust me. I don't want to put out fake evidence, you know.
I hear you, and that's a good attitude. I mean, that's a really good attitude, and that's what everyone should be sharing, that kind of attitude. Always check, don't be afraid to send it out to somebody. I do that all the time. I don't know everything, and when I come to a topic where I'm not sure, or even if I have a photo, and I have a background in photography, so if I don't know what it is, I don't even hesitate. I go reach out to photographers that I know, that I've worked with, and say, hey, what do you think this is? What do you see? Tell me what you see. And I listen to them. So we all should not be afraid to do that.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And man, unfortunately, we did cover some shows with the SLS, and I've been sitting here thinking, do I take those shows down? Do I leave them up? And I figure I just leave them up, whatever, But
right. Don't hide your mistakes, man. Just learn from them.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. Trust me. But all right, man. Well, hey, great talking to you. Thank you. And if you ever want to reach out and discuss anything, let us know. I appreciate it.
Awesome.
We appreciate your open candor. Thank you.
Have a good.
You're welcome.
Rest of your day, man. Thank you very much.
Thank you. You too.
All right. So that was Kenneth Biddle from Center for Inquiry. And I'll tell you, it's always good to speak with skeptics. Because he is right about a lot of things, and I disagree with him on some of the points he was making on some things, but we can agree to disagree on some things. But the thing is, where we come together at, I think, is the SLS Kinect camera, and we've learned a lot, and I'm hoping that you listeners have learned a lot about what Kenneth was saying about how these things can be manipulated, even if it's a live video. They can have presets, which I had said in other shows. They can have presets where they set to come in at a certain time, and there's your monster, there's your demon, there's your ghost, and that's what we're trying to get away from. People that's knowingly presenting fake evidence using an SLS Kinect camera. I would not accept any evidence that has an SLS camera Kinect attached to it. Especially, as Kenneth was saying, if it's in movement, that's a problem in itself. Am I right?
Exactly. And like I said, we have to be able to have these hard discussions. We have to be able to have respectful debates and, bounce ideas off of each other and not be in competition with each other. We've got to learn, and we never stop learning. And again, the end game, the end goal has to be the truth, not being in the next TV show and not being in front page in the next newspaper. That has nothing to do with the actual research. Paranormal research is the key word.
And keep in mind, Kenneth is a skeptic, so admittedly he admits it, and he and I think a large portion of that is a lot of people, unless you're there, when you get the evidence, most everybody's going to be skeptical of the evidence, even if it's real evidence. People are still going to be skeptical unless they're actually there. That in itself presents a lot of problems. That's why we need to have a tighter knit of people that are actually sharing the evidence and interacting with each other, and that we know in a little circle of trust there where we can build upon things. And it is absolutely good to have skeptics, conversation with skeptics, because they can help you understand where you may be messing up, because they're going to challenge you. And there should not be any room for arguing or having harsh words to somebody who may disagree with you. We can get along. We can have a conversation. I give props for Kenneth even coming on the show. We're a paranormal show. He came on and gave us an interview and did a great job, and we interacted fine, and he's a skeptic. So, that shows a lot of what kind of good person he is and good character he is to actually come on.
Well, if you're doing things with the best intentions and you're doing things right, I mean, you shouldn't be afraid of a conversation, because each party can learn from each other. So if you're not faking stuff, there's no reason why you should be afraid of any conversation.
And read the description, because there you'll see Kenneth's videos on the SLS. In case this interview did not convince you, go watch his videos. We'll link them in the description. And, again, if you have any material that's mysterious or odd, like whatever, statues bleeding, crying blood or whatever, yeah, and maybe you want to contact Kenneth and have him take a look at it. So that's it for me.
That was an amazing show.
Yep.
Take care.
Thank you.